Okay, I want to give a demonstration of how to find your own data from an open data portal and get it into Tableau and get a meaningful, sensical map out of it. So there's a number of open data portals. I am at Data SF. San Francisco has a great open data portal. They've redesigned it and it now requires that you sign in and create an account, but it's very easy. Here's the sign in. I should already be signed in, actually. Yeah, so what I'm going to try to do is grab some data that has location data in it. So I'm going to go to, we could always go to browse the data or go through these different sections. Most open data portals are going to have a setup like this, but I'm going to go to open data sets. What I'm looking for is the most popular data sets. If you're going to a data portal and you don't really know what you're looking for yet, I recommend looking at the most popular downloads. So this is their analytics for their own site. Here are the top data sets, and I'm going to click show more. Restaurant scores was the one I was going to play around with. So if we click on that and we scroll down and take a look at what the fields are, you can see that there is, let's see, where to go. Oh, it's listed under business latitude and business longitude. I think this might have a geometry as well. So we should, yeah, latitude and longitude, we should be able to work with this data very easily in Tableau. I say very easily because if we did this in R, we might have to reformat it or change some column names or something. So I'm going to export this. Now again, you'd have to be signed in to do this. We can work with probably any of these formats. I'm a fan of GeoJSON. This is a pretty big file. There's a lot of restaurants in San Francisco. Let's see. I just clicked the visualize while we were waiting. Well, that's not going to be very interesting. I'm really just waiting for this to finish. Actually, I believe I have already downloaded this and imported it into Tableau. So in the interest of making a more interesting video, I'll just cut to it. So here's Restaurant Scores Live. And if we click on it here, all the fields, there's a lot of fields on here. It has this geometry fields, which we didn't see in the preview. We also have latitude and longitude, but I'm going to take geometry here. It's in measures rather than dimensions, but shouldn't matter. I'm going to drag it over, and we get kind of a goofy map like this. Let me change to pan. I'm going to get this right in the center here, and zoom in. It looks like one dot, but it's a bunch of dots. Just didn't get a good zoom adjustment in Tableau when we did that. I didn't see any outliers that were far away or something. So what are we looking at? These are all the latitude and longitudes of every restaurant in San Francisco that has health inspection. And so if you hover over it, it's going to show you a little table pop up. What we want to do is customize what's in that pop up. And also the thing that we're looking for is we want to look at what the ranking was for the restaurant. So here's inspection score. I'm going to take this and drag it to color. That is a number of things. I'm going to add all members. I didn't get that error before. That's kind of interesting. Okay, so it's color-coded it, and you can see we've got inspection score, and it goes from null all the way up to, well, I assume it goes up to 100. We don't want null. That's not something that we want. So I'm going to take this and bring it into filters and filter out null. Okay, so now that we are playing around with filtering, our map's going to look pretty different. We're still not getting a good hover. I'm going to take the inspection score and drag it to detail. So now when we hover over, we should get a score. Oh, you know what? I think I did this backwards. Let me click exclude here on null. I basically was saying only keep the null values. So there we go. Now we're getting values. It's showing an inspection score. Let's take the business name and add that to detail as well. So when you hover over, you'll see that as well. We could add the inspection date. It really depends on what we want to focus on. And we could add the street address and phone number of the businesses if we wanted, but that's not really our aim here. Okay, so what are we trying to discover with this data? Well, what could we compare restaurant score data with? Well, it would be interesting. There's a range. It's like a grade, right? If we go to inspection score, there's all these different scores. What if we were interested in, like, where are the failing restaurants? I'm going to turn off exclude and unclick null, and I'm just going to click all these really low scores. So it looks like the lowest one is 45. I'll go up to 69, I guess. Assuming that San Francisco works on the same grade scale that we do. Okay, now first of all, let me confirm by hovering here. 65, 59, 69. Okay, so we are getting some good results now. Our inspection score isn't really color coded. I'm going to drag it to color. There we go. So now we're going to get in our new scale from 45 to 69. We will get this list. It's kind of a confusing color scale, I think, but it's not the end of the world. For now, we can at least tell them apart. That has excluded a number of the points that we had earlier, which is good. But again, what are we comparing this to? Right now, we're just saying these are where the restaurants with the poorest scores are. Well, remember, we can go to map and map layers. And we got these data layers. So here's a couple examples of things that we could do. If we wanted to see what the per capita income is, when I turn that on, this is by state. So this entire state of California is like the same color blue. I think this like gray is just like park area. That's not what we want. I'm going to change it from state to census tract, which is much more particular, and you can see that there are little clusters, right? And that's a little bit more interesting. We could adjust our scale if we wanted to be a little bit more hyper. So can we say something now? Well, the per capita income that's green is the highest per capita income, right? And it's most of the city. It's a very expensive city. The greatest concentration of restaurants we have is right up in this area. And it's mostly green, but you can see there's this huge pocket that is not. Right here, this whole area. If I remember right, this is close to downtown, so there probably aren't that many people living here, which is probably why the per capita income is drastically lower here than it is in other places. That said, without that information, you could certainly make an argument that this area right here is, there's a correlation between per capita income and restaurant scores. So let's compare that to population. If what I said was true about people not really living downtown, that would be represented here as well. And you can see actually that the population is actually really high here. It's one of the highest in the city. So this is an area where there's a high amount of population density, a low level of per capita income, and a high concentration of restaurants with failing sanitation scores. Oh, what I think you can add, actually, let me close this map layers, is the inspections. Yeah, violation description. Let's add that to detail. So now we can really gross ourselves out when we hover. Food's not protected from contamination. High-risk vermin infestation. All right. Contaminated or adulterated food. always fun. High-risk food holding temperature. Okay, so anyways, you get a better sense. Of course, we could also zoom in on this area if we wanted to, let's see, do like a selection right up in here. And of course, if we do something like that, we could choose to keep only, and we could zoom our map in. Again, it didn't do it automatically. It's a little confusing. Well, that was about what we wanted, but anyways, yeah, you get the idea there. Okay, and this is the kind of map that if we exported this just as like a still image, you can't really figure anything out about it. It really needs to be interactive. So this is something that we would have to share by publishing straight to Tableau public, I would think. So I'm going to try a publish workbook. Cross my fingers. Said I'm signed in, so that helps. Let's see. I will call this San Francisco restaurant map. And I'm just going to leave everything else for now. Oh, it looks like I ran into an error, so unable to create extract. So I will play with that. It's trying to connect to the data source. That's an issue there. So I'll Google that. But anyways, my main point here is to give you an example of how to find data, and then how to map it, how to customize the map, and then try to come up with an idea of what you are presenting on the map. Sometimes you'll know that idea going in, and sometimes you have to look at the map results and see what you get. I should also point out that this is the third data set that I played with before I got results that were the least bit satisfactory. So it requires a little bit of patience, but that also means practice of going back to the data portal, grabbing another data set. I tried to grab marijuana dispensaries, cannabis dispensaries in San Francisco. I thought that would be interesting, and for whatever reason, that data was unable to be downloaded. So that was that. So keep some flexibility when you're looking for data.